It is our great joy and pleasure to come together to bear witness this day as Stephen and Corine declare and affirm their commitment and their love. This love that has been a grand adventure, an ever-evolving journey, that has brought them before us to this place, where they wish and are joined together in marriage. By gathering in this way, we honor an age-old tradition of two people asking their family and friends, all those who are most important to them in life, to be with them as they meet this moment, and as they make their sacred vow. Weddings are a time of celebration, a time of gathering for family and friends. But these milestones in life, these days that we carry as touchstones, often also remind us of the absence of those who would have been delighted to share with us. We wish with all our hearts could have been before they were, though we know they are with us in the eternal spirit. Stephen and Corine have asked us to take a moment and think of those not here with us today physically, but whose presence is reflected in the tears and laughter and generosity of those who are gathered. We have reserved a seat here on the front row to hold space for those who need us. Perhaps there are friends and family members who could not travel the distance. They're here, we see you, we feel you, we love you. But we also wish to recall and commune with family members who have passed. And most especially do we hold fast to the eternal love of mother's love and invite into the sacred moment, love and memory of Leanne, Corine's mother. Let us join together in the moment of silence. The couple has asked two of their beloved friends to each bless us with a reading. Jade Frank will start with a passage from History of Love, a book both Stephen and Corine connected to in the lead up to their faithful.
Once upon a time, there was a boy. He lived in a village that no longer exists, in a house that no longer exists, on the edge of a field that no longer exists, where everything was discovered and everything was possible. A stick could be a sword. A pebble could be a diamond. A tree, a castle. Once upon a time, there was a boy who lived in a house across the field from a girl who no longer exists. They made up 1,000 games. She was a queen, and he was king, and in the autumn light, her hair shone like a crown. They collected the world in small handfuls, and when the sky grew dark, they parted with leaves in their hair. Once upon a time, there was a boy who loved a girl, and her laughter was a question he wanted to spend his whole life answering.
And our second reading, because it wouldn't be a literary hipster wedding without, is by Stephen's friend Daniel Sarton giving his rendition of Billy Collins' poem, Genesis. Stephen chose this poem because he likes it. And I know we will too.
It was late, of course. Just the two of us still at the table, working on a second bottle of wine, when you speculated that maybe Eve came first, and Adam began as a rib that leaped out of her side one paradisal afternoon. Maybe, I remember saying, because much was possible back then, and I mentioned the talking snake and the giraffe sticking their necks out of the ark, their noses up in the pouring Old Testament rain. I like a flexible man, sorry, I like a man with a flexible mind. Lifting your candlelit glass to me, I raised mine to you and began to wonder what life would be like as one of your ribs, to be with you all the time, riding under your blouse and skin, caked under the soft weight of your breast, your favorite rib, honestly. If you ever bothered to stop and count them, which is just what I did later that night after you'd fallen asleep and we were fitted tightly back to front, your long legs against the length of mine, my fingers doing crazy numbering. It comes above.
I want us to take a moment and realize just how sacred and rare and lovely what we are existing in right now. In these strange times we live in, and so much of our lives are spent consumed by waiting through uncertainty and stress, we are bearing witness to the joyful union of two members of an increasingly endangered species, romantics. I've had the privilege to know Stephen Mitchell for over 20 years, and since he was a boy, I've known him to have a deep, abiding faith and reverence for that most awesome and enduring force that animates our universe, love. I've been blessed to see his and Corine's relationship unfold over the years, to speak with them over the ups and downs, the trials and accomplishments. And I've seen in her that same quiet and determined dedication to the hallowed and somehow still underrated values that comprise love. I hear you later. Tenderness, consideration, patience, and grace. We're inundated as a society day in and day out with messages that attempt to lure us with status, image, money, power, trading up, moving fast, remaining efficient and adaptable. And yet these two incredible souls have managed this far into their allotment of days to remain true to a metaphysical North Star. Small but mighty sturdy. A song sung continuously and steadily, no matter what losses or hardships, emotional or economic, came their way. They whispered through the ages and across the universe of love. Let me tell you, that kind of perseverance and commitment is a damn animal feat. I've been by Stephen's side for a few of his rockier days as romantic. Spent many a night walking with him in his life. And he was in such a time when he finally met Corine. I'd been so burnt out on online dating, I was about to throw in the towel. He said, "And ain't so many of us been." He said, "Corine and I have been messaging for a while, so I was able to get excited again. I didn't feel awkward or uncomfortable. I didn't shy away from the strange turn in my mind. She looked at me, and I felt she saw me. Corine's take on that fateful night a decade ago was equally stirring. He gave me a hug right away to greet me, and I remember being taken aback, just noticing how warm and kind he was. Like I was meeting up with an old friend instead of a first date. Over drinks, he read me a passage from Annie Dillard's Pilgrim at Tinker Creek. The passage was about praying mantises, which had a special meaning to me in connection with my mom, so I took this as a sign. Never mind that the passage was about a female praying mantis devouring its mate. So my first impression was somewhat baffled, like, who's this cute guy who hugged me right away and read me a passage of contemporary transcendentalist nature writing? We should all be so lucky. But it's not just luck. It's faith. Not in some patriarchal or paternalistic God, not in the odds winning out if you swing right enough, but in something so much more mysterious and elusive, and admittedly scary. The notion that there is for each and every one of us an opportunity to understand that love reigns supreme. And if we nurture it, devote ourselves to it, surrender our fleeting and often egotistical limbs to it, and leap into the rushing current of humility and honesty, then we will be swept up and carried along in it to a destiny beyond even our wildest imagination. And the best part of this whole crazy adventure, we're not alone. This kind of love, as Stephen so eloquently told me, is as cosmic as it is practical. The practicalities of love, though, the things we must do on the daily, for ourselves, for our partners, our community, to remain in love's keeping, call us into the finest and most challenging parts of ourselves. In Corine, Stephen says it's her kindness, even when she is steadfastly defending her sound judgments. The way she treats the most vulnerable among us, be them wounded animals or those in need, her fierce and hard-earned loyalty, her bravery, and her courage. And Stephen Corine says it's his willingness to go to the ends of the earth for the people he loves, for those he feels are being taken advantage of. And yet how he somehow manages to balance this intensity with levity, a sense of humor, his willingness to be silly, leave the hard stuff behind when it's time to come up for air, and laugh about the absurdity of life. Well, today is a day that we all get to come up for air. When we do indeed get to laugh about one of life's most blessed and incredible absurdities, that two people so rare and romantic, so kind-hearted and intentional with their affections, have finally come together to devote themselves and the living of their precious lives to one another. 2 years ago, Stephen proposed to Corine during the Portland wildfires. They were doubly quarantined due to COVID and the oppressive smoke. Corine was taking stock of her family heirloom jewelry in case of a sudden evacuation. And as she showed Stephen various pieces, he reached for a ring he hoped to add to his collection. Got down on his knee and said, "If this is the end of the world, there's no one I'd rather spend it with than you." And this is what we're meant to do with these strange short lives that we're given. Entrust them, and unabashed, absurd, transcendental, and desperately romantic love. You found it. Took a little while, but boy did you find it. And Corine, you already know it. May those best days, your finest hours, heartiest laughs, most tender embraces, most epic doggy dance parties, are all yet to be. I love you both. I know you'll continue to take great care of them. And I thank you on behalf of this whole community here gathered for remaining true to your faith, to your wild, romantic hearts, so that we get to be here today with. So now I invite you, Stephen and Corine, to share your personalized thoughts.
Try and get through this without crying. I already have failed at that, but I will try my best to keep my voice level. Corine, I promise to see you for the full person that you are, to delight in what makes you you, to learn from it, and to allow it to inspire me.
Stephen, I promise to trust you and to nurture you, to recognize and hold dear your strengths and your gifts, to be your guide and to be your guide.
I promise to be an intentional listener, to shut out the parts of the world that can be distracting or scary, and to focus on you, the part of the world that shows me patience and love.
I promise to hold space for you and to be I promise to listen to you and to really hear
to be playful with you, to bring and be light in your world, to lift you up when you are sad, and when necessary, to sit with you there or carry you through.
I promise to laugh with you and to learn with you, to grow with you and to care for you.
I promise to be adventurous with you and to hold up your interests, to walk alongside you and to hold your hand.
Stephen, I promise to consult you before I leave any more tests. I promise to watch that obscure comedy special that means so much to you. I even promise to be the one who cooks sometimes.
Corine, I promise to be the one to let you pick the movie, at least once in a while. I promise to someday rewatch the entirety of the X-Files so that I can at least pretend to remember your obscure reference to that one episode in season 3. I also promise to take the time to read one, maybe, of the 10 books you'll recommend to me anyway.
Stephen, I love your ability to observe the world and to find and make meaning in art and poetry and film. I promise to cultivate and nurture that love, to share that passion with you, and to keep your partner and your friend.
Late last night, I was down here in the ruins in this venue, picking up something I left behind, and I found myself kneeling down, talking to a grasshopper, telling her that I would take good care of her, and I promised to do so. I'm thankful for the kind of mysticism and view of the world you have shown me, and I promise to carry that with me wherever I go.
Stephen, I will be your home.
Corine, I will be your thing. I will be your home.
May we please receive the rings from our trusted bearers. Now, Stephen, please take Corine's ring and place it on her finger, repeating after me. Corine, with this ring,
Corine, with this ring,
I unite with you in marriage,
I unite with you in marriage,
and pledge you my faithful devotion,
and pledge you my faithful devotion,
to laugh with you in joy,
to laugh with you in joy,
to grieve with you in sorrow,
to grieve with you in sorrow,
to grow with you in love,
to grow with you in love,
serving our communities in peace and hope,
serving our communities in peace and hope,
for as long as we both shall.
for as long as we both shall live.
Corine, please take Stephen's ring and place it on his finger, repeating after me. Stephen, with this ring,
Stephen, with this ring,
I unite with you in marriage,
I unite with you in marriage,
and pledge you my faithful devotion,
and pledge you my faithful devotion,
to laugh with you in joy,
to laugh with you in joy,
to grieve with you in sorrow,
to grieve with you in sorrow,
to grow with you in love,
to grow with you in love,
serving our communities in peace and hope,
serving our communities in peace and hope,
for as long as we both shall.
as long as we both shall live.
I invite you all now to join with me in a moment of prayer and reflection. Spirit of life and love, common source of all created good, we reach out now beyond our daily toils, past our passive judgments, moving not in our distracted, happily state that we so often become mired in, and we touch joy. experience that is so pleasurable that it can seem foreign at first. We can almost fear it because it reminds us of the way we truly are meant to be with one another, but so rarely are. It reminds us that we are called to a virtuous, magnificent, and quite simply higher purpose. To be there for each other, through thick or thin, in a joyful gathering of love, humbleness, forgiveness, reparation, and celebration. We all reach out, Spirit, in this joyful moment and ask that you surround this young, beautiful love we see before us today. The souls who have devoted themselves to one another with as much care, grace, protection, beauty, truth, and tenderness as our collective energies might muster. May they know today and forevermore how much we truly love them, how much we root for them, that we are eternally in their home, and that they always have a community to lean on. That as they build themselves this new family, they are now and always a part of ours. We dedicate ourselves to them, Spirit, as we dedicate ourselves to you. The common, mysterious, indescribable source of miraculous stardust of which we are all part. Amen and blessed be. And now the best part. Stephen and Corine, I now pronounce you wed, and I invite you to share your first kiss as husband and wife.
I won't forget the way you helped me up when I was down. And I won't forget the way you said, darling, I love you. You gave me faith to go on. Now we're there, and we've only just begun. This will be our year. Took a long time to come. Of your smile, smile for me, little one. And this will be our year. Took a long time to come. You don't have to worry, all your worry days are gone. And this will be our year. Took a long time to come. And I won't forget the way you helped me up when I was down. And I won't forget the way you said, darling, I love you. You gave me faith to go on. Now we're there, and we've only just begun. This will be our year. Took a long time to come. And this will be our year. Took a long time to come.